someone who is locally successful has a good foundation. Yeah. So when their market is exhausted, if there is no room to grow anymore, and you want to grow, there is no other way than to go international, right? So what's the first step you do? You look for a market that is similar in pretty much everything than your home market. So that's the next step, the next market you go. So you incrementally grow into another market.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Brigitte. Brigitte, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. Thank you.
Awesome. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Yeah, my name is Brigitte, or everyone calls me Brigitte. Brigitte Bojkowszky. I'm a company and personal brand identity strategist. I'm the founder of BridgetBrands, and I'm based in Austria, but operating globally. And my mission is to empower organizations and entrepreneurs who struggle with their branding strategies and guiding them to transform their passions and ambitions and their desires into irresistible, captivating brands that radiate their authenticity, their beauty, and their brilliance. That's it, what I'm doing.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm totally passionate about it.
Right. So let's back up a little bit. And how did you get into branding as your thing?
You know what? This is a long story. I have to start from the very beginning, if I may do so,
Of
because
course.
my journey to get there was pretty unconventional. The first job that I was always kind of, desiring to do, I wanted to become, was a flight attendant. So whatever I wanted, I really went for it. It was my vision. When I'm a grown up, I'm a flight attendant, seeing the world. And that's what I did. It was beautiful. But after 5 years and also, having climbed up the career ladder and becoming Purser and all of that, seeing the world, understanding different cultures, diving into the mentalities, really understanding their point of views and what they want and what they desire, but also learning how to host, how to offer these exceptional experiences on board. It was great. But I was intellectually not challenged anymore after a while, and I needed to do something else. I knew there needs to be more. And at that time, when I was flying, it's around almost 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years. No, it was more than 30 years ago, 32 years ago. It was that our contract terminated with the age of 36. So what is then? What will I do after that? So I was kind of uncomfortable and not being able to really, decide. And I loved that job, but at the same time, okay, there needs to be something else. So I jumped ship and I started studying. I studied international marketing and management and business education. So I'm also a certified teacher. And international marketing and management, because it was what I was living, in 1 month and on 5 different continents, and understanding all the cultures and the different cultural backgrounds and how that, how to work in a multicultural setting and leading teams. So for me, then also, okay, getting to know brands in Southeast Asia, in Australia, in the US, in Europe. So I was always hunting for brands and getting an idea of how they operate. And yeah, and that's what I studied at the end of the day. And so I was always interested in that. And then after I graduated, I worked for different companies, and then I did my PhD. I still was not done. I was like, okay, there needs to something, and it needs to be something else. So let's go for your doctorate, because there was a great opening for a research position, and that's what I did. And after that, I worked for an international real estate development company. And I was doing the whole global market research. But it was in a time in 2008, the recession rolled in, and I lost my job because we went bankrupt. And then I understood that identifying myself with the company, with my position, was something great when you work there. But when you lose your job, you some kind of also lose your identity. You're asking yourself, who am I? Yeah, what is it? I mean, I was kind of, from one day to the next, company bankrupt. What's going on? What do I do with the rest of my life? I had my teaching assignment at the university. So then I morphed into kind of professorship, yeah, as a teaching professor and teaching here at the Business University in Austria, but also in other universities around the world, Hong Kong, Vietnam, in Russia, in the US, in Canada, everywhere, and taught international marketing management, brand management, managing brands across borders, market research, global consumer behavior. So basically all of it when it comes to branding and marketing and management globally. Yeah, but I also felt that's not it, because I'm not the typical kind of professor, and I have a growth mindset. Yeah, I really live it. And as a teaching professor, you are in a position where you stay the rest of your life. There is no career plan. You cannot proceed to the next step. It's just your professor and that's it. And I thought, this cannot be it. There needs to be something else. Um, Everyone told me, hey, listen, be happy with what you have and all of that. But the contract also terminated because it's a non-tenure track position. So it needs to be prolonged. But after a while, they will not do that because then it would go into a permanent position. And it's a political system. So I don't want to go into that. But I knew something has to happen. And, I always wanted to start my own business, be my own boss, go into entrepreneurship. We never had that in my family. So it was even more so difficult for me to morph into something like that, into such an identity. So I went this path. I started my own business. So from a flight attendant to a student to a corporate to a professor to an entrepreneur. And what stayed the same consistently was this phenomenon of companies, of brands as corporations, companies, products, services, experiences, but also people. And my heart was always with this intangible, with the people, with the human touch. I also wrote my doctoral thesis about the soft factors of collaboration. Yeah, not the hard factors, the numbers. It's everything behind it. It has something to do with the human being. What do we bring to the table to make something shine? So with all my experiences now, I create brand identities for companies, for entrepreneurs, or let's better say that I help them to elicit everything they already know and put that into a brand.
That is an awesome strain. It's like, how many lives have you lived? Sounds awesome. You're like a cat.
It seems like several lives, so I still feel so young.
You look like you're maybe pushing 30. and then you've had like 80 years of experience.
Give another 20 years to it. I'm very open about it. But I think it's also about your mental being, how you see the world, how positive your mindset is. And I think when you have a growth mindset and then you're open to learn, always open. I think I will learn until I will drop dead. But this is my mentality. I want to know. I'm curious. I'm curious about life, about people, about how to make things better. There's always room for improvement. And I mean, I come from an environment where perfection was like the minimum. When I flew for the airline, it was like 110% is still not enough. but it really, you strive for this excellence. So excellence is not to be confused with perfectionism. Yeah, excellence is meaning you give the best that you can be in the here and now, and you next time you even make it better. There's always something okay to learn, and that's what is so exciting, because we all evolve over time. Nothing is on a standstill, not even during a crisis like COVID, because we were, coming up with new technology that helps us to connect. So there's a lot of innovation going on the positive side. Yeah. So the consumer behavior is changing. We always have to, not have to, we evolve with everything that is happening in the industry, consumer behavior, macroeconomic factors, like what's going on geopolitically around the world. We have to adapt, and there's always change. So why not embracing it and see it from a positive perspective and roll with it? Yeah.
Nice.
We
Well, you made a
don't
great
need
comment that the world feels like it's in a shutdown during COVID. And if anything, it was in an epic state of change.
exactly, especially for entrepreneurs,
Right?
because we needed to get going. A lot of people were laid off, they had no job anymore. So you are, you are in a state of where you have to be creative in order to move forward and make a living. So the best ideas come from a time of a crisis. And that's true, because there is no other way. We have to. Yeah. There are bills to be paid. There are mouths to be fed. There is something you have to get going. And there's always something coming up. And that isn't that beautiful, that once you take action, things are falling into its place.
It is. So in that state of chaos, I think we all realized that all of a sudden the world had this globalization, that our businesses became global, no matter, even if we had a bricks and mortar shop and we're doing a service that's right there in front of people, we're still looking at how do we create kind of a global market. And it's been one of those things that was, we'll leave those up to the big guys, Coca-Cola, and they can go international, but the little mom and pop shop doesn't. Now the mom and pop shop has to go global, and it becomes kind of part of the fear and part of the curiosity, to your point of how do you create an international brand when up until now it's kind of been you yourself and your tight knit audience. So what do you see as the difference between kind of a global brand and one that's kind of narrowed in on the niche of a local area?
I mean, there's a huge difference, of course. Yeah. Someone who is locally successful has a good foundation. Yeah. So when their market is exhausted, if there is no room to grow anymore, and you want to grow, there is no other way than to go international, right? So what's the first step you do? You look for a market that is similar in pretty much everything than your home market. So that's the next step, the next market you go. So you incrementally grow into another market. But you also should not underestimate, even though there are differences, like the US and Canada. So there are differences in consumer behavior, in how people perceive a brand. So when your brand is not known there, you need to educate the market first. Yeah. And you also need to analyze the market. There's always this top-down approach from understanding on a macro level. What's the political situation, economic situation, and the legal situation is really important in order to do business somewhere else. Yeah. Environmental, socio-cultural, consumer behavior. So what are the numbers? So facts, numbers, that is really important to get an understanding of the market you want to enter. And maybe do kind of a profiling where you have several country markets on a short list that are rather similar, and then really do the weighting, based on certain key factors. And then also it's the industry. What's the industry like? What are the other players? What's the competitive landscape in that specific market? And how do you differentiate from them from a customer's perspective. Yeah, how do they see the players in the market, and how do I fit in? So this is important. Then also, what strengths, do a SWOT analysis, yeah, and weaknesses you have, and what are the opportunities and the threats that you need to address in that market. So that's pretty much a situation analysis. What's going on there? How do you fit in? And then what's the marketing strategy that you're going to apply based also on your brand positioning? So how do you as a brand stick out, be relevant, make a differentiation in that market, and also, of course, monetize it because you also need to be profitable to a certain extent. But also think about what can you bring to the market in terms of corporate social responsibility. Now, this is now more so a topic, especially in the Western world still. Yeah, what can we bring to the table to do good? So that might be sacrificing some profits to a certain extent, but can also be a competitive advantage on the other end.
Absolutely. And we'll get into that in a second, because I think it's important for people to realize, especially Americans, I think, that going from one state to another state can be a very different market. It can have a very different cultural appeal.
Exactly. So because within a country, you also have different subcultures in terms of, you know, different races, different consumer behavior, geographic, all sorts of different cultures. We are all we are all living in certain circles. Yeah, you're a member of a fitness center, for example, that can also be a subculture in a very narrow term. So that also needs to be looked at. We have in the US, East Coast style, West Coast style, you know, Midwest, we have the South, we have the North. They're all idiosyncrasies that you need to understand. So when you go abroad, think about what does need to be adapted so that you can really have a foothold in the market, and what can be standardized so that you can reduce the costs. Yeah? So you really need to figure out. That's important. And it really depends on what you offer. Is it a product, a service? Is it something that is more a high tech, high touch? High tech can be standardized pretty much. High touch also needs to be standardized. Just imagine there's a Louis Vuitton bag that looks totally different in another market. Oh my God. So it's a status to have that specific bag, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you here personalize with the service? Yeah, but the product stays the same. It needs to. But then there are other products, such as foods, that need to be adapted. Yeah. Also, other products like, for example, detergents, yeah, with its formula, because in that country there's only like cold washing systems whatsoever, yeah, or certain preferences that consumers have depending on the economic development in that specific market. Or when it comes to shampoos, even shampoos are localized. I know from L'Oreal, they have different shampoo formulas in Southern America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, because the hair structure is just different.
Yeah? Absolutely. Putting this kind of shampoo in my hair that you would put in somebody with curly hair, they'd end up with this poof ball and going, no, this is not going to work, or vice versa. And I'm going, no, totally get it. So when it comes to diversification in a brand, you want to be able to step out, but not be, I don't want to say offensive, but there's certain aspects that can be kind of taken the wrong way when it comes to culture. So when you're looking at kind of the diversificate, like how do we stand out without being, I don't know, again, I don't know if offensive is the right word, but I think you know what I mean.
I think what you want to ask me is about where is the limit? I think the limit is authenticity and what we stand for, and what kind of values you base everything you do on. So what are the values that you live by and breathe every day? What unites you as an organizational culture and what you stand for? So everything that goes in line with their values, everything that goes in line with your mission, yeah, your mission, your purpose, why your company is existing, and everything that goes with your vision, that's what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Yeah, like a world of shining brains, for example. But your mission is to bring the greatness, the brilliance out of people, out of companies. Yeah. So based on a certain value set, once this is in place, you can make all the decisions, intentional decisions that lead you to success, because then you stay true and authentic. When you have that, then nothing can actually happen. Then when you do extensions, let's say you add another product line, does that go in line with our mission, vision, and values? Yes or no? No, it's not. Yes, let's do it. When you go into another category, is that category something, let's say, cosmopolitan magazines, they went into yogurts. That's too far of a stretch as a category to go into. What do you think about how does a yogurt taste when it's called cosmopolitan? I don't know what kind of flavor you have on your tongue. Does this really work? Yeah, so there are extensions, a lot of extensions, examples that it just doesn't resonate. This is people wouldn't go for. It needs to make sense. So every brand that is strong has a certain brand equity. Yeah, the premium that the customer is willing to pay on top of that, this product, is a yogurt or whatever. Yeah, or let's say.
Well, even Coca-Cola, when they went into fruit juice, I mean, they had to rebrand the fruit juice because it just does not fit into the Coca-Cola brand.
Exactly. Yeah. So it really, when you extend into another category, can I leverage that equity, the strength of the brand in that other category? Yeah. And can I compete with the category, with the brand that basically is the flagship, or it's the brand, or it's the category owner? Let's say it like that. Brands are so strong, they often own a category. Let's Uber. Let's FedEx this. Let's, what is it? Yeah, can you give me a Kleenex? So you talk about a certain brand, but you want a tissue, or you want a ride, or you want to have this parcel being shipped somewhere. Yeah, that's how strong a brand can be, that you own kind of a category. Yeah.
So at what point in somebody's business would they look at this level of branding? Because, like, does it make sense to start off right off the bat when somebody's just starting out, or is there kind of a maturity or some differentiator that says, okay, you're at the point now you have to start thinking about your branding this way, or it's just not going to work?
I think there are several factors coming in. How strong are you with the products or services that you're offering right now as a brand? How good is your business doing? Do you have any ideas of extending either your product line, or going into, have you an idea of really conquering another category, kind of stretching, expanding into? How viable is that extension? So you need to do your market research on all these levels: geographic expansion, product category extension. Are you fit? Can you deliver? Can you grow to that next step capacity? Yeah. So there is a lot of questions to be answered. Yeah? And I think in that case, if you are not quite sure, you need a consultancy or a coach that guides you through that phase and helps you to do due diligence and analyze your current situation, if that makes sense, or if there is still room to grow with what you're doing at the moment, taking market share from someone else, or is still a growing market where it makes sense to do that, and then on a later stage expand into other categories or into other, let's say, domestic markets or international markets. Yeah. But what I would suggest from the beginning, if you are a person that and you have a vision that you want to go international, also think about when you are at the point of naming your company, and also when it comes to colors and when it comes to, a logo, that you think, is it something that can be adapted and transferred internationally? Just think a little bit ahead.
Absolutely. And do your market research on what that word means in other languages, because that's a danger point too.
Yeah, so when you think about Starbucks, I mean, this is a great example. It's a huge company. You would have never thought that this company is going to be a global player sooner or later. But when they entered the Arabian market, they had to get rid of the mermaid. You could not go with that logo. So that's just the crown. Yeah, if you look at the logo, it's a different logo. Yeah, so they did it really wonderful. Yeah, so to adapt that, if you don't know, you don't even realize, but it's different. Yeah, so you have to also take that into consideration
Nice.
from the beginning, or on the go, that this is something that you can transfer or is adaptable.
Love it. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you for a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before we do that, we're going to go on a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I am super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Yeah, so I have, of course, several clients, and it's interesting that most of the clients say, yeah, we want to go international because, we have some business partners in this market and the other market. And that would be a wonderful, great opportunity to venture out, to internationalize. And let's do that. And at the end, they figured that, there's people that want to do business together, but do not base that on facts, on a due diligence. And you need to have your numbers in place. And I think this is a critical factor. Of course, you have to also have common sense, go with your instinct. But when it comes to internationalization, it's about numbers, understanding the different environments out there that make or break a deal. It's really doing your situation analysis from all the different, let's say, it's the macroeconomic environment, industry environment, it's the consumer behavior, it's your direct competition, it's you. Can you actually take action in that specific market? Is this a promising market for you? How do you enter the market? How do you get the foothold? So a lot of companies are not thinking it through until the end. Then they are there. What are we doing next? That's then the big question. So you need to have a clear strategy, a roadmap, a plan from the beginning till the end. What is my ultimate goal in that specific market? And you can only define the goal when you have numbers and facts in place. How do you deal with that at the end of the day? And it's also really about the further away you go in distance of culture. Very often then this goes along with geographic distance, even though, for example, the US and Mexico, the distance is rather short. Yeah, but the cultural difference is so huge. So you need to take that into consideration. And the cultural difference is that difference that make most of the companies' endeavors fail, because they did not consider that. Yeah, that consumers, whether it's businesses or direct consumers, that they are just different. And that makes you either thrive or fail in that particular market. And there are a lot of company examples when you think about big companies like Walmart, like McDonald's, like many other companies in other markets that completely fail because they did not take that into consideration. So have a consultant, have a coach that has a true understanding about internationalization of brands.
Fantastic. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Okay, so you can get in touch with me via LinkedIn. I'm very busy on that platform and I create also a lot of content and you see what I'm doing there. I also have a podcast you can tune in. It's about, of course, brands, and it's about the stories that my individuals tell and their first-hand insights and how they see personal branding, what their journey is about, what their challenges are. So tune into that. And of course, you can get in touch with me, send me an email, and my website is BridgetBrands.com. And I think you will find all the information in the show notes.
Of course. So what's the name of your podcast?
Brands Talk.
Nice.
Brands and Talk. So it's one word.
Brands Talk. Awesome. We will, of course, have all of those links in the show notes. Go ahead and scroll down, click on the links, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So you had mentioned earlier about your entrepreneurial journey, but at what point did you know that you were that special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
Because entrepreneurship is about freedom. It's about making your own decisions. It's about living your passion, and it's about deciding every day what you want to do, how you want to do it, and with whom you want to do it. So that's my experience. I never could do that in the context of an organization or also not in academia, but every day you can choose new. And I think that is something beautiful that entrepreneurship offers. Even though it's the hardest thing in life, it's a roller coaster ride. It's a lot of headache, but it's also the best school ever that one can go through.
Thanks. You've been absolutely amazing. Any last words for our peeps?
Yeah, stay true to yourself and don't let other people define you. You have it in control what you want to push out and how you want to be perceived. And I think authenticity is the way of being successful long term. It's sustainable.
Brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
And thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.